Regal Movie Masters. Unlimited.
This is the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited podcast where we indiscriminately watch every goddamn movie that comes out at the local theaters. Here in Movie Masters today are Justine,
Hi.
Brent,
Hello,
and Dylan.
What's up?
My name's Colin. Today we got a short, fast, and nasty 3 movies to get to you. We got Guardians of the Galaxy,
Volume 3.
Volume 3, Love Again, and you ready for this one? As we've been saying, the George Foreman movie we're going to watch, teasing it. This is you might say a cliffhanger. This time around, we're watching it, and the actual title is Big George Foreman: The Miraculous Story of the Once and Future Heavyweight Champ. Before we get started talking about movies, we should tell everyone that it's all spoilers here. We're gonna ruin these movies for you, all of them. So if you care about that sort of thing, this is the official heads up. Trying to be more official here. And speaking of official business, our email correspondence, moviemasters760@gmail.com is available for your questions, your comments, any intrigues you have, moviemasters760@gmail.com. And this time we got a question. It's a good question. I like this question. The listener asks, what's a movie each of you saw several times at the theater? Great question. I just saw Guardians twice this week, so I'm a weirdo.
We watched Force Awakens
Quite a few times.
like 4 times.
Yeah. You got a more classic one? Childhood? That sort of thing? I got a gross one from high school years. I'll save that
In
one.
the theater? No.
No? Yeah, I guess back then it was like,
Yeah, it was like a
come
big
on.
deal.
Time is money.
the year is 2016. I believe the theater chain was AMC. They offered a Star Wars Black card for Rogue One, which meant if you purchased that you could walk in an unlimited amount of times, so to speak. And I went 19 times.
That's just to prove a point, right?
No,
You were just loving it.
I love that movie like so much that I just wanted to like look at every corner of every frame, and I don't know, something about it like just resonated with me. So I had nothing better to do in 2016, so I went to Rogue One.
I mean, I
quite a bit.
respect it. That's any movie, if you see that amount of times in theater, that's your top dog. That's your number one. I mean, of course, that's your top dog.
It's got to be.
Yeah. Anything else that was like a significant amount?
That's the only one that really comes to mind. It's possible that I went and saw them. Yeah, I probably saw like a bunch of movies multiple times, but not even close to 19.
Oh, Justine, how many times have we seen The Labyrinth in the theater? Because they'll bring that one back every couple years.
Oh, still only like 3.
I feel like 4, but either way,
Those same thing.
something like that is
And then
something.
before that, I can't remember the name of this movie.
Man, I think anyone who's like a Rocky Horror Picture head is just scoffing at us right now.
Exactly.
Dylan, what do you got in your pocket?
Got The Room.
Oh, okay.
But I was like from high school till like,
Yeah.
obviously till I was like 22, 23. Then I got, if we're going to go back in like school time, when I was in school,
School time.
got Dark Knight. Saw that about 4 times in theaters.
Yeah, I definitely racked up a couple on that one. For sure.
The first Avatar. Saw that 3 times in theaters.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And then
And you don't like that movie. You basically don't like that
I don't
movie.
care.
Okay.
It was a time when like all my friends were like, "Dude, gotta watch it."
All right.
And then I saw it. It's like I think I saw it with my parents. Then I saw it with my friends. Then I saw it with another group of friends.
Yeah,
Like,
so you weren't absorbed by the magic.
it was just like there's something to do.
Yeah.
For those last 2. Then I saw there was another thing I saw like that. Avatar, and it sucked. Oh, Beowulf.
Oh, respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Saw Beowulf 3 times. Same situation. Once with my parents, twice with 2 different groups of friends.
Exact same situation, exactly as big of a movie, exactly as memorable of a film, exactly as a movie that people are still talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Beowulf. Me and Justine saw Beowulf in the theater. That was front row 3D
It was so
IMAX
bad.
in Irvine.
It was
Psychotic
really harsh.
decision.
Very harsh.
But I'm still proud of it.
I wasn't sure if it looked really bad because we were really close or if it just looked really bad.
Hey, I believe, as the ancients say, "Por qué no los dos?" Turns
Yeah,
out,
true.
both things can be right.
I swear there was something I saw like like when I was like 10 or something, but I can't remember.
Oh,
it
I
right
know
now.
one that you saw a lot. Midnight in Paris.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I was
Weirdo.
trying to
Oh,
remember.
okay.
I saw that
With
a
Owen
lot.
Wilson?
Yeah.
Dang.
Which is a great
I know.
movie. I like that movie.
Yeah,
but
it's just weird that I don't know. I had a friend who worked at a theater, and I was just like, you know what I'd like to see?
One more time,
Yes.
please.
One for midnight, please.
You know what? I was well, I would go to like all the Marvel movies for a while, like just one after the other, just because it's such like psychotic gibberish going on screen. I'm just like, one more time, double up, please. So I just get like 2 tickets ahead of time, just like one for this showing and one for that showing. At some point, they sort of stopped being that engaging to me. So I was like, one and I'm good. But that Guardians I did see twice, not one after the other.
Yeah, you
but
put
one.
a day between it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One, and then I saw it again the next day. So reviving the great tradition. But when this is arguably a tradition that started as a youth, when I watched Batman and Robin like 9 times in the theater.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I was a little fucker, so it was all like I was in on the joke. I wasn't like,
So
no, this
did.
is cool. I was just like, the Ice Age.
I'm gonna pay again to make fun of this.
We did have a dollar theater in Escondido, so
Nice.
all things considered, it was a good time. It was also like in the 90s, so a lot less.
You know what? Since you brought up the 90s, that reminded me. I probably saw a ton of Tarantino movies multiple times.
Yeah.
Just because, you're in the era. There's only like limited amount of entertainment, so to speak, So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably went to Pulp Fiction multiple times. I couldn't give you a count, but, at the very least that and probably everything after, too.
Listen, this is a great question. This is the kind of question we like to field. This is thank you to the listener. We respect anonymity. We will not use your name unless you tell us to.
Colin, I got a question for you.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Go on, Dylan.
You know how you just said you watched superhero movies back to back, which I remember you doing.
Yeah.
Did it end with BVS? That was like the last one I remember you doing, and I never saw you do it again.
No. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did watch Batman BVS twice in a row.
I was so sad when you did that. Like, 'cause like we were like walking toward the door, and you go, "All right, see you guys." I go, "What? I thought we were gonna go to the parking lot and talk about it." And you're like, "No, I'm going back in." And we're like, "That's actually crazy."
Yeah, it was.
I was like, "Oh shit!" And then I don't remember you doing that ever again.
I vaguely recall. I don't even think I was regularly doing it by the time that film hit, but I swear I was with like 2 groups.
I love that you
Like,
called it a film.
Like, well, it's a masterpiece, so whatever you want to say.
Right.
No, I think someone saw it the first time. I saw it like the first time with one group of people,
Yeah.
and then someone else was like, I can go to this showing. I was like, oh, I'll be there.
Oh, I remember exactly.
Go
you watched
on.
it with us
Yes.
and other friends. Then the second time you watched it with JXR. I don't know if he wants his name said.
Oh, okay.
I remember
Just
that.
him?
Yeah, just him.
I love
That's
that.
rad.
Yeah, I remember that exactly because he showed up and you just walked into the theater with him. And I was like, he's seen that again? And then
Yeah, it was
he,
kind of shocking
he
because
left.
the first, just watching it just once, it was like, that was a lot, and then it was just like, I can't believe he is walking back
Isn't
in
it like
there.
2.5 hours?
Oh, it's long. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember, and I have a strange fondness for that movie where it's like, it's bad. Obviously, it's very bad, but like, I don't know. I was like trying to like figure it out watching it a second time, pick something out. I had some crazy like theory about it, or like not like a film theory so much, but like I was trying to like relate it to comics where it was like, oh, this is like a crossover event, or if you pick, okay, I think my thought on that movie after seeing it twice in a row was like just picking a random comic up off the newsstand. If you pick a comic up now, even today, it's like Gotham City has been around for 40 years. Everything has been in place, and there's all these different people running around, and you're immersed in this universe like immediately, like arguably way too quickly because there's just so much backstory. Like, wait, Robin is dead. And I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's like, if you just jump in midstream, mid-universe into something, it's kind of nice as opposed to like, how do I use my bat powers again? You don't have to deal with.
How did I get here?
Yeah. You don't have to deal with the same montage stuff. Like they just cut to it. You have to deal with a lot of other gibberish, but I think I appreciated watching that one twice. I honestly might like that movie. Not like enjoy it. There's just something like gross about it. Like, I don't know. You ever like have like a candy that's nasty or like just something that's like, yeah, this is gross, and then you just eat the whole bag of it. Not like salt and vinegar potato chips.
Like circus peanuts. That'd be like common for a lot of people.
Sure,
They'll
sure.
say it's like gross, but they do finish the bag.
Yeah, you just keep going on it. Like that's BVS for me. So I'm not surprised that I watched that twice in a row. But yeah, you're right. I think that might have been the what broke me, like Bane's back getting broken.
Yeah.
But yes, to thank you for the question. We love the questions. If you want to ask a question yourself, hit us up on the electronic mail at moviemasters760@gmail.com. We'll talk about it in the ep following receiving your email. Now, speaking of superhero movies, we got Guardians 3. This is the aptly titled third installment of James Gunn's Guardians trilogy. Everything about this says there's not going to be another one with him at the helm, certainly. Like, they really end this the same way that, like, Endgame had all the, like, honorifics at the end of it of, all the things that were everyone's name.
Oh, that was dumb.
Yeah. This kind of did that, where it's, like, scenes from the previous 3 movies. But this does feel like a conclusion of sorts, not necessarily to the characters, but definitely to James Gunn's bit in it because he's going on to do the DC stuff, of course. Trying to give you a quick synopsis because there's a lot going on in it. Opens up with the Guardians hanging out at nowhere. That's the empty god's head that the Collector used to inhabit. They are stone cold chilling, listening to Radiohead, as we do. A mysterious stranger comes in and takes out Rocket Raccoon, and they hurts him very badly, deathly injury. They try to fix him. They realize that there's proprietary technology protecting Rocket's vital organs. Thus, they cannot heal him without first removing the stuff. So they go on a intergalactic quest to find who done messed up Rocket Raccoon, which is a plot point from the earlier movies. Is he has a mysterious origin, so serves as both a backstory to how Rocket became the raccoon that we know and love from the big screen, and also them trying to fix him from this fatal injury delivered by a mysterious stranger who we learn is Adam Warlock, which was awesome to see. I was like, the mouth open pointing at the screen meme that whole time. I'm admitting to being a mark on that stuff here. And this puts them head to toe with the High Evolutionary. So they're squaring off with the High Evolutionary in this one, and that's Guardians 3. About as succinct a summary as I can go.
I like the High Evolutionary. I think he's crazy and cool.
Played by Chikudi Iwuji, who is a stage actor, which is very obvious from the performance.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it's like he's like Othello and stuff like that. So he's doing like he brings it in that way, which I love so much because have your villains be villains, man. Come on.
Yeah, and he's kind of, he sees himself as a god, so that's appropriate for him to be kind of grandiose or whatever. He was the highlight for me. He's like creepy looking and he's creepy, but he's kind of doing stuff that doesn't seem that bad. I mean, except for his ways of getting there, you know what I mean? So Machiavellian, but kind of like Thanos, where they have an idea. It's just kind of a messed up way of going about it.
And they say a hero story is only as good as their villain. And this time around, I think, they really kind of nailed it with the villain. That was something that I felt kind of lacking in Guardians 2, which I didn't really love too much because it was just, my dad's a planet. I don't know. I didn't get much out of that one. But this one, I feel like the villain was, a lot.
Yeah, I was also really excited to see Adam Warlock on screen. And it's like one of those things where like there's so many Marvel movies where I'm like, am I weird for like it'd be funny because like I was like, oh, they finally have him on screen, but then I was like, wait, there's so many movies. Has he been in another
right?
Marvel movie that I was thinking about? I was like, no, I think this is actually his first one.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yes.
Awesome, got that one right.
Yes.
Yeah, I dug it. Oh, what?
Oh, I was just saying it is because they kind of don't tell you about it. He's already in the Gold People.
Yeah, so there was a teaser at I think a post-credit scene in Guardians 2 where the Lady Sovereign, I'm just calling her that,
sure,
the gold lady, she's like, I have a son. He's going to be perfect. He's going to be a warlock of sorts. I shall call him Adam. Yes. They teased it, but that was pre-Endgame, post that.
Yeah.
Thanos, with all the Thanos snapping and Black Panthering and all that stuff, very easy to kind of graze over a kind of somewhat throwaway closing credits scene. But this is like, no. We got him now. He's out of the cocoon. He's off the chain, running around. Did you read a lot of Adam Warlock comics?
Some, but like it's more like I have the Marvel Topps trading card app, and he pops in there a lot. And it's just I always like just kind of make up my own stories about like because like the art, she's just kind of like, what? I wonder what the story is right there. And I read a few, but then to see it like actually on the screen, I'm like, okay, so this is gonna take some imagination. Like it looked it looked cool.
Yeah, I have no direct connection to Adam Warlock's stories or anything other than just, seeing him in the big Jim Starlin stuff like, Infinity War or whatever. But I get the same thing. I was just like, oh, yes, I love this. I'm like, wait, why? I don't know. I'm just going with it.
I think it's maybe because it's one of those characters where you just don't know everything like you would on like other characters.
Right.
So you're like, okay, so what can they do on screen with them? So it's like there was like a genuine excitement to see how they were going to develop that character or like just portray that character.
Yeah.
Colin had mentioned that he went and saw it the next day, and I think I need to do that as well because both of us kind of had our first viewing kind of colored heavily by texts that I was getting from fathers who, in my estimation, see this movie completely different. Because I was getting, these texts. I was getting all these things like, have you seen Guardians yet? I'm like, nah, we're going tonight. It's going to be fun. They're like, man, I just wanted to like send you some trigger warnings because... like I know that you've got like fur babies and man, this is just going to be a really heavy, brutal movie for you. And I just want to give you the heads up. And so like, I was like, what the fuck? So I texted Colin. I was like, yo, apparently this is going to be like really heavy and like we got to be prepared for animal death. And so both of us are watching this going, oh my God, they're just going to kill everybody in really brutal ways. And it's like, no, a CGI otter gets murked. And I was like, I can handle that. Like I'm totally fine with that.
Well, not for nothing. If you say animal death in a Guardians movie, I'm just like, they're going to kill the Rocket Raccoon.
That's what I thought
the
too.
whole time I'm watching this movie,
especially
given in the first 5 minutes,
he gets housed.
So I'm like, okay, this is how they're going to pull at our heartstrings emotionally, and they do, but not in that way. And so when I'm watching it a second time, I wasn't like,
you're not like, oh shit, Rocket's gonna die. Yeah, 'cause they even like, and that's the thing, like. No, Rocket's fine, so so I need to go rewatch it, without going, they're gonna fucking kill Rocket Raccoon the entire goddamn movie.
I think when they text you just have to say, hey, don't tell me anything about these movies.
Spoilers.
No, they came out with it.
I know.
Just drop the gauge.
You got to do what I do, which is just ignore your phone. Just don't talk to anyone. Don't look at anything. Yeah, because it's gonna mess you up.
Dylan, what do you think, my friend?
Well, I liked it. Made me cry.
For real?
No. I mean, afterwards when I drove home, but like...
No.
I didn't want to cry in the theater.
You saved your emotions for when you were...
Yeah, I bottle them up all the time.
You did not cry on your drive home. I refuse to believe that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Have you ever cried in the theater with us? Because we've been in the movies a lot together.
I'm sure there's times.
Yeah.
Where I just had to hide it. I can't do it in public.
I'll water up like crazy a lot.
Yep.
Almost all the time.
I like learn to like shut the faucet off until I'm like alone.
Just suck your tears back into your eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what he's talking about, actually.
Yeah.
I may have cried during Pinocchio. I'm pretty sure I cried during Pinocchio.
That was like a big movie for you.
There was a pretty recent one where I was getting a little choked up, but I can't remember what it was. So apparently,
a big Foreman.
Yeah, it was
big Foreman, the construction movie.
Big Foreman.
But nah, I did it. It's like for the most stupidest line too. Not even the whole movie. There's just a line that got me. I'll admit that. But
what's the line?
Everybody at home right now is screaming. I'm not
gonna say it right now.
You have to say it. You can't tease it like that.
I'll tell you later.
He doesn't want to cry on the pod.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna legit cry. But I did enjoy the movie. It's a bummer that the animals were caged up.
It was very
It was
emotionally
sad.
heavy.
I'll give your friends that. That was bummer.
Yeah.
I liked the bat lady that they talked to.
Yeah.
That was cool. I just liked that world. I just liked the way it looked.
The New Men.
Yeah, the Newman.
I learned that from the Wikipedia. I'm not like that deep with this shit.
I like legit like the costuming, I guess what you would call that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
especially and the organism what's that space called?
Orgo core.
Orgo core, yeah, like everything in there was fantastic, and I was happy for Justine because I remember when we've talked about superhero movies, we've talked about how we'd like some like outer spacey, like dimensional type settings, and then I felt this one definitely delivered in a really clean, cool way.
It wasn't too much action, but it wasn't. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here.
I think if I could find a word, not to put words in your mouth, but balance is
there you go.
There's a word to sum up this film and what makes it succeed. I think balance is really it. There's a lot of tragedy and there's a lot of comedy and there's a lot of action and there's a lot of character development and there's a lot of effects, and any of those things in the wrong measure could suck or just be uninteresting or be boring or really cool or whatever it is. But I think this movie really, James Gunn in general, I think his real secret weapon is just understanding how to keep the balance in all those. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, because it wasn't all one. Because, like, the first one and maybe the second one was a lot of, like, funnier in tone or, like, comedy based.
Right.
And this one's, like, more serious. But they kept the comedy in there. It's not like he was like, here's the darkest version of the Guardians you'll ever fucking see. But it was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, I think to go back to the first two movies, and I guess the idea of the Guardians in general, it's like they're all misfit characters, tragic backstories, action, comedy, tragedy, and it's all kind of done in equal measure. And I feel like this film was just like, this is like the Rain and Blood of the Guardians franchise. It's like everything stripped away. You just get the pure essence of these, because the tragedy to me was like very tragic. And I guess we can kind of get into that because the High Evolutionary's whole thing is that he's trying to create the perfect society, and that includes a lot of animal experimentation. And like, that's pretty tough to watch. And I think, James Gunn obviously knows this. He's not like thinking like, oh, this is badass. Like, he's trying to show that this villain is like a bad dude. Right. And so like, I thought that, I don't know, essentially a vivisection angle or metaphor, allegory, whatever you have it. It's direct, but it's strong and effective. And I don't know that that's usually the angle that especially Marvel movies take. It's often like, I'm greedy, I'm powerful, whatever it is. But to see someone like have that little regard for lower life forms, if you will, I think really got anyone watching the movie's ire built up, right? And the Rocket Raccoon thing, he's always like, he's got a tragic backstory and he doesn't like talking about it. And in this movie, they do the thing that I usually dislike in movies, which is show the flashbacks to how they got there, and it's smart to do it this way. Cause it's like, yeah, after 3 movies and the Avengers stuff and the Thor and all the other cameos, it's like, yeah, now I actually want to know about this guy. It's not like the first movie and I don't care about this person at all, or like, I have no reason to care, and now you're telling me these flashbacks to his dad being mean to him or whatever the hell trope they usually do with these movies. It's like, okay, no, I actually do like this Rocket Raccoon guy, and they give you the flashbacks in kind of sparse ways. They very chicken feed it out, and you see these other animals that he's with. They have also been experimented on, and it's like they say explicitly in the movie, like, Lila, the otter, is like, Rocket, this has been your story the whole time and you didn't even know it. And like I said, this movie gets to the essence of what they've been kind of playing at this whole time, which, yeah, okay, Star-Lord, mom died, sad. Thanos messed up Nebula, which is, messed up too. Like everyone has the baggage and the stuff. Drax lost his daughter through Thanos's fighting. But, Rocket was tucked away and experimented on by this mad scientist type. And this is like the most direct way of showing it. And just, yeah, bringing out agony for the viewers to see just the cruelty that these little critters are given. And I don't know, I think James Gunn is really testing himself to see like, how messed up can I make these cute animals look? And like, it's shot in a lot of ways like a horror movie, like they're cobbled together with robotic parts. The walrus has these human eyes with like robot eyelids. The rabbit has these spider parts to it. It's like
its mouth is covered up.
It's a complete like Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas mad scientist horror show, but you're still endeared endeared to these creatures, and thus, Rocket's whole backstory has that much more of an impact, and that informs the stakes of the current fight they're doing. I don't know, from a structural perspective, it was just very well done and very effective without being totally like just melodramatic or manipulative, even though it is both melodramatic and manipulative. But I was effectively manipulated. So, I'm in. Good job. Let's hear it for manipulation.
Yeah, I wish that other people that make superhero movies would look at this and understand that that's how you psychologically build a villain, so that it's effective and that it has meaning and it has like gravitas, when stuff goes down, or you really want them to lose versus just like, oh, they're going to get beat. That's going to be fun. We get to see a big space battle. This is like, no, I want that guy to pay, like for what he's done, to our blessed raccoon.
And I don't know if this is like a universally something that would work or whatever, but I came to the conclusion that the real power fantasy here, because all these movies are power fantasies, right? And like, it's always little guy gets stronger, punch big guy,
Exactly.
That's all these movies. But if you really think about it, the power fantasy here is like compassion. It's saving all the animals from the ship that's burning down.
Mm-hmm.
That's this movie's, Hulk beating up Loki, is like, they even say like, oh, get the higher life forms, and they get all the kids off of the ship as it's going down. But then it's like, no, the job's not done till you beat the bad guy, and which is like small screen time, like the actual fight between the Guardians and the High Evolutionary. It's like, I don't even know if it's a minute of screen time,
right?
But it's super satisfying because you watched him be a dick the whole movie in both flashbacks and present time. And it's a very kind of clear statement about like, no, it's not just about the higher forms. It's about the lower guys too. It's all kind of meaningless without that. All these kind of misfits who have been like damaged and abused and experimented on, they all have value and they all have worth. And I don't know, I just thought it was a lot more effective of a message than you could get from your average movie like this, So that's like the, the core of the story. But it was also, funny, right? Because they'll have these real, just horrific things. And then a real easy cutaway to like Three Stooges style bits.
Yeah. Or they'll just send Batista in and he'll just go, hello, morons.
Yeah. To the kids. Yeah. The kids are about to get burned down and they still got time to get little bits put in. And it totally shouldn't work. Like that's the kind of thing that you would say, oh, it really took me out of the movie when they start going into little physical comedy routines, or that's Marvel with their like, he's right behind me, isn't he? Kind of like quirky stuff that they do, their quips. Oh, these movies can't tell a serious story, but it's like, I don't know. I think because they were going so bleak and dark, the, Drax laying down on the couch and getting scolded for it, or,
So
all the various bits they did. It's like, this just works for me, man. It's, I don't know if I want to say earned, but.
No, it's earned because they've established the characters as being how they are. Mm-hmm. So like a Drax, when he's not telling jokes, he's just weird,
right?
And says inappropriate things, and so it's funny. It's not like they're forcing him to make a joke like in some other movies where it's like they're forcing a joke in here. It seems really unnatural. That's what takes you out of it. But when you're already like, you've bought into this world and these characters and they're written as themselves, then it flows really nicely.
You saying that right now, I'm thinking of the dynamics of like a workplace comedy.
Yeah.
Like News Radio, which is like, one of my favorite shows ever. Like it's character-based comedy. The characters are where the jokes come from, and it's ensemble, of course. So it's like, how does this character bounce off of that character, et cetera. It's the same principle with, almost every sitcom, I guess. And I guess like when you're this deep into a franchise and it's like a team, it's not like a Batman movie or something. It's like, yeah, I guess you can kind of rest on that formula.
Yeah.
Dylan, what made you laugh in this movie? You won't tell us what made you cry. So what made you laugh? I don't know. What were some bits that you
I'm trying to remember. Hold on.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of, honestly, if I'm putting myself in his shoes, I can't think of a funny thing other than Drax.
Yeah, Drax was funny. It was a long movie. Hold on, let me see. It's 2.5 hours. Drax was funny.
Oh, the Soviet dog. Yeah.
Like,
Bottom.
it's not like a
Cosmo. Cosmo is the dog.
That's the
in
name?
movie.
All right, yeah.
Leica is the
real
actual
dog.
USSR dog that's based on. From Grant Morrison's We 3?
Well, I don't know if it's called that in there too,
Right.
but I was thinking about that the entire time.
That Grant Morrison got a character in the big franchise.
About the We Three, that's like a sad experimental animal movie.
That's right.
Comic. But
Yeah, I want to say I was 2 seats down from you, and anytime that dog did anything, like you were stoked. It was awesome.
That was a good character.
I'm realizing, I know a lot of people probably hated the scene, but the car opening scene.
Yeah.
But I was mostly like, oh, that's funny. She's pressing the keyhole. That's pretty funny. And then all of a sudden, the F bomb, bro.
Yeah.
The first F word in a MCU.
That was effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I watching it again, it was like, oh, this could have been like, it's so weird how movie ratings work, you know. Rocket Raccoon scratches this guy's face to oblivion on screen. It just has to be cut around it really quickly. There's swords jabbing into people. There's a lot of really horrific violence in the movie, but it has to be shot in such like a cartoonish way or danced around really. And the language, like James Gunn knows how to use profanity very well. And like when I think of Peacemaker, just very well written dialogue, which is, you know, profanity laden. Watching the movie a second time, I was like, oh, there would be a lot more fuckheads and dickheads and asshole motherfuckers that would be put in here. And it would probably be actually funnier than like, you're being a jerk right now. Like I could kind of see where there's punches being pulled. And at least they gave them open the fucking door.
Yeah.
The way it's punctuated.
It was
well.
good timing because you needed like just structure wise, you needed a tension breaker right there,
right?
And that hit perfectly.
Yeah, and again, it's a absolutely stupid bit, like a physical comedy routine to be shoved in, but it's like, hey, this stuff works, you know.
I think the saddest part was the turtle.
Oh yeah,
that was the worst part.
Incinerated turtle.
So yeah, when the high evolutionary is doing his experiments. He's, you know, building these creatures. He can turn these animals into humanoids, which is the new men. But then they're too rage-filled, so he has to... Again, you can have that in a PG... Yeah. You can have that in a PG-13 movie. Anyways, that is, I guess I'm bearing kind of a big plot point, which is like, it's Rocket's inventiveness and his intuition that is saying, like, here's how you can fix this. So the high evolutionary can create life, and he can train it. But what Rocket has that makes him so special and unique is that, he can come up with stuff on his own.
It's like the AI issue.
Right.
Yeah, it was fortuitous timing for that to be a plot point.
I can't really remember if like it was specifically like a funny part.
I liked when they're outside of the Orgo core and they're like, oh, no, come on. That's a really good one where he's like, this guy, he's explaining his where they break into the thing and Drax is being kind of dumb and Star-Lord's like, forgive him. He's the boss's cousin.
Yeah.
He kind of has to be here. But I got one of those guys on my team
and
too.
Then Nathan
this guy
Fillion?
I love. This guy, I want to fucking murder. Yeah, what's his name?
Nathan Fillion.
Good job, Nathan. Did as a little bouncy man. That was a
good part.
And then arguing outside of it with he's pouring his heart out to Gamora, and everyone can listen. They're just, we were hoping it would just end on its own.
Yeah.
You just kept going. No, that was a stupid bit too. It was like orange is blue, blue is for orange. Like that was straight like
very
Laurel and Hardy
intuitive
stuff. Yeah, but like that I don't know. Maybe I'm just an easy target or something. But all that stuff, was very effective. I think balanced out that tone of bleakness. And this is, I don't know. I'm looking into this stuff too much. We're talking about BBS, so I have to bring it up. Towards the end of the movie, Adam Warlock rescues Star-Lord because they rescued him, even though he was trying to kill people. So it's like forgiveness and compassion. Again, good morals to put in. And they do, what's that Sistine Chapel drawing where God touches man's hand? I think that's the official title, actually. But they use that imagery, and you remember the BVS or what's the director's name? Snyder. Zack Snyder's whole thing is putting in like religious imagery, and it's like, look, it's Batman, and he's got his arm stretched out like a cross. He's like Jesus. Batman is Jesus. like the kind of, and it's played, slow motion, super heavy. And I almost feel this is a sneak disc because James Gunn is kind of taking where Zack Snyder was, and he did the Sistine Chapel thing, but it's played strictly for laughs. Like, it's funny when you see Adam Warlock doing that pose with Star-Lord, and it's not. And no, I know, it's a dramatic moment. It's like, oh, yay, Star-Lord is alive. He's not really dead, but it's so blatantly played for laughs, even though it's kind of a serious moment. That's sort of the...
I read it as, and this is just my dumb brain. I was like, is he making fun of Princess Leia flying through space like Mary Poppins? Because for a second, it kind of had that look to me. But yeah, I like your theory way better.
I mean, hey, you heard it here first, folks. I don't know if you did or didn't, but and there is, I don't know. I think that whole like Christian compassion, who is first will be last and last will be first, is kind of runs through this. But the humor and the crudeness and everything balances all that stuff out, so it won't be so melodramatic. There is another big elephant in the room, so to speak, in the Guardians franchise, which is the use of needle drops, syncs, music in it.
If there's any constructive criticism, it would just be like, come on with the songs, especially because like the first however many songs were just acoustic guitar. I guess that's to establish the tone, but at the same time, it felt beaten to death in a way.
Well, yeah, and it's, again, this is the franchise that kind of earned it, and
Sure.
I feel like the earlier ones had smarter. The first one, Guardians of Galaxy Awesome Tape soundtrack is the equivalent of like, I don't know, having the mustache tattoo on your finger that you put up, like whatever that was for, 2004, that was like Guardians of Galaxy Awesome Tape, and like there was a lot of songs from that movie that we obviously like super hit songs and everything, but I work in a record store and like the demand for Shocking Blue, like when that came out, like people wanted the songs that were on the soundtrack because they kind of brought some clever ones that were maybe a little buried and not super obvious. I mean, my gripe with that was like, this is a tape his mom made for him. Someone who's listening to Cherry Bomb from the Runaways isn't also listening to Redbone or something, not in its time. Now, sure, but at its time, you weren't listening to all of these artists, but that was just being a dork. But I do think the general like IQ of these music choices went pretty down. Like, I don't know, is Creep from Radiohead kind of a little on the nose?
But Colin, that was a different version of it. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
And like the closer, the Florence and the Machine song. Man, that's a missed opportunity if they're going to the 2000s. Imagine that closes out with like Hey Ya or like Last Night, Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not saying those are like powerful emotional songs. I know they've had to pull the like, we are taking this seriously song and having fucking Florence over a bunch of clap stomp. But like, I don't know, it's a little like melodramatic. And the worst of all, of course, the No Sleep Till Brooklyn battle sequence, which we just saw a month earlier in like the biggest movie of the year, also starring fucking Chris Pratt. Yeah. Like, come on, you couldn't dig a little deeper?
Did they have an X song in there?
They did, and I couldn't tell you where it is.
It's when they're at the bar. What's his name? Mondu, and like they're playing poker.
Okay,
but I can't remember the song. I know it's
Poor Girl is the name of the song, and it's off of not Wild Gift, but the one with the big X on it.
The purple one?
Yeah, I don't know between the third and the fourth one. Well, anyways. There's an X song in there. That's cool, but it's also kind of buried. Apparently, there's a the song.
I saw it in the credits.
I didn't
pick it out, though.
Yeah, I didn't pick it out either. The Rainbow track was fine. When they're docking Oregon, they start playing that kind of ballad, that soul ballad song from Earth, Wind, and Fire. That was smart. See, that's what I'm saying. That's a smart sync. It's like, oh, you expect it to be like, some rockin' like Born to Be Wild or some like heavy song, but it's like, a kind of mellow soul track, and it's not a totally played out one. That's cool. That's smart. That's the kind of syncs that pulled off. When they played Faith No More and pulled up to Counter Earth. No, I'm sorry. Not fucking Faith No More. Chuck Mosley era Faith No More. The only goddamn Faith No More we acknowledge in this household. That was awesome. That's the kind of shit that works for me.
That wasn't another movie we recently saw, right?
It was.
Yeah. Was it Air? What was it?
Oh, I believe Air. Air had like every 45 seconds. Just statistically, if it's a song.
There is crossover, a lot of crossover between Air and this one.
I heard that, what's that the Pope Exorcist had Epic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
it
I
did.
believe that.
Yeah.
Oh, because the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has like headphones.
I remember.
No. Yeah, she was listening to. No, it wasn't Epic. It was the same song.
Oh, really?
Yes, totally.
That's
okay.
what. Okay.
Man, Dylan,
Didn't even watch it.
MVP, baby.
Didn't
That's
watch it.
that's
I
the poll. Anyways, yeah, okay. Hopefully Chuck Mosley's getting paid, man. Well, he's no longer with us, unfortunately. Whoever is
The
in
estate
of Chuck Mosley, god damn it, put some fucking respect on that legend's name. Yeah, those all worked for me, and that's what I kind of like. But man, when they stunk, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just like sinks in general. If that's like an exclamation point, or something. It's like you have to use it effectively. If you don't, and it doesn't really serve a purpose, then it gets pretty tiresome.
What'd you think of the Flaming Lips song? And how
I hated it.
You hated it.
I hate
even
that.
how it was used?
I hated it.
Why?
I hate that fucking song.
Oh, you just hate the song. Okay.
Oh, it bums you out.
But in the
And-
context, can you take yourself out?
Hold on,
of
give me a
hating the
second.
song?
Yeah, no, I tried to do it with all of them, but I
Yeah.
can't. When it's a song, it's annoying to me.
Okay.
You like that one?
I was just asking if you liked it.
Oh no, I hate that song. I hate that
okay.
song, and I didn't think it was that. I guess it varies person to person, but like, yeah, I didn't think the tone of it fit. I mean, if they had used that instead of the Florence and the Machine song at the end, I would have forgiven it. It would have been even a little bit smarter. But it's
You
like,
sure about that?
Yeah, it'd be a bummer of an ending song.
Yeah.
well, sure.
You don't like David Lynch movies too much, do you?
No, I
Okay.
like no.
Because I saw Wayne and Steven from Flaming Lips do a noise set, and they
Okay.
did that song, like a noise version of it, which I thought was cool. But I was just thinking like how much you would probably not like it.
You mash all that up together, that
Yeah.
seems like a drag.
I guess in the other movie, like especially in the first one, do the lyrics matter? Like, because I feel like that was kind of an annoying thing in this one, where
They were
it's like
really
too on the nose.
Too on the nose.
Yeah, they really want you to listen to what was being said.
Yeah, and I think that why it works in those other movies is because it just kind of catches a vibe
Yeah.
that they're trying to give you.
Yeah.
Like when they're walking all tough, like the one that sticks out to me from the first one, especially, they're walking at you all tough in slow motion, which happens a lot in this movie, which is fine. I'm not angry at that. But they play Cherry Bomb from Runaways, which of course is like a song I like. And also at the time when the movie came out, wasn't as fucked out as it is now.
Yeah, it wasn't as played.
But yeah, that's the lyrics of that have nothing to do with, I mean, unless they're just talking about being naughty.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm a badass teenager.
We're cool. Look
Yeah.
at slow mo.
But it's just about that hard ass riff.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it gets a little silly. Like when they play Heart's Crazy on You, a song I like, psyched me out. Cause it's like when they open with the Radiohead song, I was like, oh, if they just go all unplugged during this, that would be really an interesting choice. Cause it is like, the bummer movie of the trilogy.
See, they were setting it up like that.
But then they didn't. And when they played,
didn't,
they went into Crazy and You, which has that at least an acoustic rhythm section. And and Adam Warlock is going crazy on them. Like little on the nose.
I wonder if something's changed in the like licensing and sync world, where it used to be, if you committed a song to a really big movie, you would give them like kind of like a courtesy of like letting them run with it for like
Right.
the run that they anticipated for it, and you wouldn't license to another one. But I mean, like we were just talking about, like No Sleep Till Brooklyn, you could walk through the theater and you could hear it coming out of 3 different auditoriums, 3 different movies, same weekend.
Just a minor note on that. The music video for No Sleep Till Brooklyn shot on what, maybe $20 budget?
If that.
Far more visually arresting than either of the segments in which it was featured in these multi-million-dollar budget films.
Like the original video was just like that, a pink light, somebody's apartment, and they're just like rapping into like
No, they bike down. That's like where the manager's like, you need to be.
Yeah, they're like playing L'Amour's or something.
Yeah, and they're like, you need
that
to.
one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because they dress up like a hair metal band to get signed,
That's
and then
right.
they take it
Okay.
up. Does Kerry King play the solo on that song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's
that's
also in the video.
yes.
Yep.
So that's kind of nuts that Kerry King's guitar work is in 3 gigantic movies.
I was thinking of You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. That's
Right.
the one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
okay,
it.
Which is
yeah,
also,
yeah.
I mean, I know
That's another cheap one.
I'm not a big fan of that album or that, I just can't really take it seriously. But all the music videos and visuals from that period are like awesome. Oh, and last thoughts, I just wanted to give some love to that Orgo core, the whole design of that place.
Best
so
design I've
cool.
seen in a Marvel movie, I think, for me.
This
my
is
taste.
the best looking movie
Dang.
in a long time.
Well, you might just be saying that because we just got out of the green screen smear that's Ant-Man
Would
and
you
the
say that
Wasp.
about? Would you versus that against Love and Thunder?
It's kind of the same to me because there are like standout scenes like that whole where the gods live in
Right.
Love and Thunder is amazing, and every character in there is like really well done. But stuff like in Guardians, there's like a lot of different settings,
Yeah.
and each of them has like its own look, and it's so refreshing. Same with Love and Thunder, a lot of it. Just like, look how bright and colorful
Right.
things
Yeah.
are. Like, why would they not be? It looked really cool. And there was like, there was space stuff in it. And absolutely, they would come up with weird ways to make structures,
Yeah.
in space. It's biological. Sure.
Right.
That's gross.
It's so gross.
Yeah, you can see there's like a ton of imagination, and it elicited actual wonder. Like you could like look around the screen and go, I wonder what that is, or I wonder like what that functions as in a different context where they're not having a gun battle,
Was I the only one who caught Fifth Element vibes during that scene?
For sure, because the girl looks like
Yeah,
the
Mia Jovovich.
attendants.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's right. And like, the bright colors and everything. I always think of the games Abadox and Life Force. They're like 2D shooters where you're inside a body. Nastiest fucking games for the NES. But I can't ever escape thinking about those games when I'm in some sort of like bioorganic landscape.
I love that stuff. Weird sci-fi. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't it be different?
Of course, why not have your city take place inside a skull? Like,
Yeah.
why not have a
that's
skull-shaped
so cool
spaceship?
looking.
It's great. A skull-shaped spaceship planet.
Yeah.
Sure. Like, the whole point is to like make cool looking shit, right? So make some shit that looks cool.
And my favorite part is the weird little creature that Mantis opens the cage for.
Oh yeah, the just inside out.
It's like, I don't even know what it is. But she's like, I was yelling at something scary behind you. Not you. You look cool. And he's like, thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
I love Mantis, dude.
We stand Mantis?
I stand Mantis.
That's a really good. That's a really good performance. I mean, not that the other ones are bad, but like this one, like it all
More
came
utilized.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of who got screen time, I mean, obviously they're ending it, they're wrapping it up, right? And so it's sort of like, we did just kind of treat Mantis as a joke this whole time. Let's kind of give her some lines and have her back some people up. The whole interplay with her and Drax was awesome and like really endearing chemistry, if you will. The first one was so Star-Lord centric. Like he's kind of a footnote in this entry, and it's only to give a lot of characterization and time to Rocket's story, of course, and like even Nebula, that's a top 3 MCU character for me. I think they've handled her just so well anytime she's been in it. And I think my favorite singular moment in the MCU is when post Snap and Endgame, there's just an unspoken moment between her and Rocket Raccoon where they just like kind of touch hands, and it's just like, we get it, we both know loss and everything. She's of course one of the most like tragic figures if you consider just being constantly tortured and reassembled and stuff. So giving her more screen time and having her take this role of like community leader at the end, like, is a great arc. I loved spending more time with some of the characters that weren't Chris Pratt.
Speaking of which, should Star-Lord have died? Are you cool with how it played out?
I mean, it doesn't. None of this matters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fucking cool job. You tore at our heartstrings enough with this movie. You don't need some like Star-Lord is like Jesus. Look, he died for everyone. He died in a heroic way. You don't need to do that. You like actually earned all this shit. And I think he still wants to make these movies. That guy loves money.
Clearly, yeah.
I think that guy.
Yeah, the post credits. It's just like, this motherfucker's coming back.
Yeah,
These
don't
other
even
ones,
trip.
We don't know. This one definitely coming back.
The one
yeah.
you care the least about.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck?
The one who had the least to do in this movie you just watched.
Yeah.
You get some more of him.
Yeah.
So overall, Guardians of the Galaxy, are we downloading this one to our Zune, or are we just going to leave it on the hard drive? I'm downloading this. I'm taking it with me. I'm going on the road with it. I like this one. I think it's my favorite MCU film since Spider-Man No Way Home. And there's been a couple in between that I've liked. like Black Panther and Thor, and I liked Ant-Man. I know no one else did. I liked it, but I liked it enough, but not nearly like this one. This is a pretty significant entry to me. Really enjoyed it. Makes me want to go back and watch the other Guardians movies specifically, and definitely has me excited to see what James Gunn has coming up with the DC stuff, because it's weird, man. This guy's like snuck up on me. Like, I was just like, oh, I think I really like his movies, I guess. He has done nothing to let me down when it comes to making big, strong punch guy films.
I hope he is able to say no.
Yeah, when he has to get stuff shoved in. Anyways, what do you think?
Download it to the Zune. I like this movie, and I think it was really like imaginative. Like I said, it looked really good. I liked how much attention to detail in making different stuff there was. I would like to watch it again. I actually was thinking that after I saw it, I wouldn't watch it back to back, but I would like to watch it sometime soon, because it just felt like there was a lot going on. It felt really different than all the other Marvel movies, and I was impressed that it was able to be so dark. And I honestly was thinking, I don't know if this is kid appropriate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess when you say dark, I think it's maybe like mature, but not edgy, if I'm not mistaken. Because it's not like like a kid. Well, there's probably a lot of stuff that'll freak out kids. Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's horrifying.
It's horrific, yeah. But it's not because of like, it's super explicit. It's just like, this is dark. This is bleak. Like, kids don't need to know about vivisection and stuff. But I was kind of reminded of a lot of like Watership Down or Brave Little Toaster, Land of the Lost, like the really depressing kids movies that I would watch growing up for no good goddamn reason. This had that. I feel like this is going to probably leave a scar on a lot of kids in the same way those movies did on me. I think that's probably a little conscious of James Gunn's bit, being like, you know what? Let me traumatize some people. Why not?
I'll support the download. And like I said, I really hope that people that create other superhero movies look at this one and say, what made this work? Because, I think that's going to help give your movie character, not pun intended there. Because I feel like a lot of times with these cape movies, it's just kind of like, hey, it's just a bad guy and they're going to fight over the world or something. There's not a lot of dynamics. Whereas
remember this guy from this comic? Hey, remember this guy from this thing? Yeah.
They're going to have a big battle at the end, Whereas like this, I mean, there was a lot of dynamics and it was enjoyable to watch, and you didn't know exactly where it was going.
And that is where I can give a recommendation for a second watch, because it's nice not having that stress and just being able to take everything in.
I was feeling that, like the whole time.
Yeah, second watch recommended.
I'm going to download it on my Zune that I had in the 7th grade, and I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to lend it to some kid, and then he's going to break my Zune, like what happened to me in the 7th grade.
So it's like a universal experience.
Yes, I do like the movie. That's what I'm saying. I will download it on my Zune.
All right, now that we've discussed the independent cinema of the week, we need to talk about the real blockbuster that's taking over. Celine Dion presents Love Again, starring Celine Dion, written by Celine Dion, directed by Celine Dion. Music, weirdly not by Celine Dion, but she was the supervisor of it. Now, we were joking about this movie because in the trailers, they were like, hey, this movie has a new song by Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And so for the whole movie leading up to it, we're like, hey, you're going to go see that Celine Dion movie? Not realizing that she is actually in the movie, and it's only Celine Dion music.
It's about her.
It's like we were joking, but she was serious. Okay, I'm trying to break down the plot here. I cannot wait to really recount the details of particularly the opening of this film. A woman is heartbroken over the loss of her fiancé, and in her process of overcoming her grief, she begins texting her fiancé's phone number, not realizing that the number has been reassigned to a New York City music critic, who she is also in New York City. They're both in New York City. The story takes place in New York City, as they tell you. So this guy in the same town as her, is receiving texts that she is writing to her dead husband, like, every day is hard to go on without you. I'm trying to do new things, so on and so forth. And this guy is falling in love with this woman that he's never met, based on these texts he's receiving. And at one point, she's like meeting this guy at this bar for a date. And he's like, I'm going to go spy on her. Mm-hmm. He does. And then he sees her and he's in love with her. And she doesn't know who he is. And she also doesn't know that she's been texting him instead of her dead fiance. So then he meets her in real life because he knows that she's into opera. And so he goes to the same opera every day for like a couple weeks until she shows up. And then she meets IRL. They fall madly in love almost immediately. And things are going peachy till she finds out that he's been receiving texts from her to her dead fiance. And will these two lovebirds reconvene or not? Well, you'll have to watch the movie Love Again. And with that plot that I just said, which hopefully you are saying, what the fuck? How is it a movie? I cannot stress enough. Celine Dion is the third most prominent human being in this film, both in her score and in her presence, directly giving insight into these two people that she's arbitrarily very invested in. He's doing a story on Celine Dion. He's a music critic for a magazine, the New York Chronicle, which he's a music critic for a newspaper, which obviously requires an office space, 3 people in it. So as he's meeting Celine Dion and asking her questions, she's like, you don't believe in love. I'm going to teach you. You need to open your heart to the universe. And these are the things that make him, surrender to this lady. This is a movie, baby. This is a romantic comedy. Also, this was a book before this.
It's a German book.
A German book. Yeah. SMS für dich, which translates to text for you, which is a German book into a German movie, into an American movie with a lot of Celine Dion for some reason. Dylan, why don't you tell me about the opening scene?
All right. Well, I'm going to have to correct you with your synopsis.
Okay.
It's not her fiance or her husband.
It's just a boyfriend.
She constantly says, he didn't have a chance to ask.
But she doesn't know he was going to ask.
Yeah, that's just a random ring that she had.
She finds a ring in a box of his own stuff.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I walked in a little late, but I kind of caught the best part of the film.
Yes, which is in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, so she's at a restaurant or something, a cafe, and she's getting text from him like, I can't make it. And he's like, JK, I'm right here. And then he meets up with her for like 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Gives her a bag of Skittles. Yeah, yes. Tropical Skittles.
Of course.
And he's like, I got to run. Okay, I'll see you later. And then he's walking down the street slow-mo. And I thought this, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. Then Colin said it out loud. And then he gets hit by a bus. But then they cut to her face, like zooming in. You just hear like wheel squealing and like horns, and then like an accident. And I was like, "Oh my god, it actually happened!" They don't show you the accident, but they just show you her face where she becomes like emotionless. And I was like, me and Colin were fucking dying because I was like, it actually happened like that.
Yeah, I looked up. I like to look at Letterboxd after seeing a movie that's like kind of ponderous and see what people's vibes are. And I was like, what do the 4-star reviews say? And all of them are like, holy shit, dog, I was dying in the aisle after the first 3 minutes because that was the funniest shit I've ever seen in a movie. So like they gave it like high rankings because it made them laugh when they weren't supposed to laugh.
Well, that doesn't stop there because it keeps going. I'm like, I've never seen a movie set in New York City that was so not set in New York City. Like,
dude, okay, I'd put my phone away, but like there was this one scene where I had to text Colin in the middle of the movie because he'd already seen it before me, and I was like, "Hipster bar, huh? Why does it look like a hotel bar?" And you're like, if it's so hip, why are there only 6 people in it?
This is the most sparsely populated vision of New York City you'll ever see. Right. It's astonishing. It says they shot it in the UK, but I'm looking at like and one time they're in a basketball court. We'll get to that.
Oh my god!
There's a friggin' maple leaf, like very
yes.
And so it's like, and obviously with the Celine Dion connection, it's like this is just a French Canadian joint. It feels more Canadian than New York, and there's no reason for it to be set in New York City, by the way. Like none.
Like
why not just call it Toronto? especially
if anything, you could say it's because when she's falling asleep, he's giving that speech about how New York is the greatest. It's so convoluted. He's trying to explain why basketball is like life itself and how New York City is like life itself, and that's why it's set in New York City.
The one of my the scene I really enjoyed is he's watching basketball and holding a basketball. He's like, oh yeah, it's like he's watching boxing. He's got his gloves. Watching hockey. He's got a stick.
Thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna watch MMA and just fucking tape my wrists. How about that?
If you haven't picked up on the tone we're putting down, this is very much so like Lifetime, Hallmark, made for TV movie that is in a theater for really a reason I can't discern, but it's out there. And yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm skipping ahead to like my overall takeaway of the film, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy watching this. It was like, it's just so odd. Like I'm trying to explain to someone the next day after watching this movie, I'm like, yeah, Celine Dion's in this movie a lot. This guy's like a music critic and he's asking Celine Dion about like the lyrics of her songs, but like, Celine Dion does not write her own songs. Like no singer like that does. It's not like, oh, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Like, no, there's just like song credits. Like she doesn't just objectively. This guy's a friggin' music critic. And he's like, Celine, on this song, you say this. And on that song, you say that. You have obviously you have never been in love. You do not understand.
I read somewhere that this is her on-screen acting debut.
I believe it.
And as I was watching her talk on the phone, there was just something about, I'm like, what does this remind me of? And so I just sat there, like just racking my brain. I go, oh, I've got it. It's James Cameron doing like a press junket when they ask him a question. He leans the same way. They have the same face. If you put stubble on Celine Dion, James Cameron.
Yeah, she's like being smarmy with the critic, with the journalists and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm no cap. She's fine in this movie. Like, I don't think she does a bad job. And it's just so like arbitrary, almost feels like an ad lib. Like Celine Dion is a spiritual advisor in a romantic comedy. Yeah. Like it's not what I expected to see in a theater at any time in my life, I guess. So like, it's pretty amusing. There's humor. It's lighthearted, the film in general. I don't think it takes itself too seriously. Man, there's some awkward stuff about them trying to show that the characters like each other. Like when they do finally just mash the two toys together, they bond over Jordans, like sneakers. It is again ad libs. Like two people meet in New York City and they have a conversation about sneakers.
He's impressed that she knows what Jordan 1s are.
And I mean, regardless of the execution, it's just so arbitrary.
Yeah.
Down to the fact that her outfits don't look good with those Jordan 11 lows. Like she's got
Hell no.
She could step that up. That was so
She even
forced.
said, I wore them for you. So she didn't really care if they didn't go with it. She wore them on purpose.
All right, but she could dress them up. I mean, geez.
They really don't look good.
They don't look good. But if the sneakers are going to be the whole reason of the fit, just start with the shoes and then make everything else
She
go
likes
with
big
them.
dresses, bro.
Fair enough.
Fashion.
It's not like you can't wear
Yeah, it's
Jordans
called
with dresses. It's just that hers
Canadian
didn't work.
fashion in New York.
Yeah, there was accents all over this.
Oh
movie.
yeah, the guy's Scottish.
I couldn't figure it out.
And the lady Priyanka Chopra Jones, she's a Jonas Brothers
Wife.
and
A Jonas brother.
She's a Jonas brother.
and he shows up. She's on a date. That's how the guy spies on her. Is he gets a text to her dead fiance. I forgot about that whole part of this movie. And to realize that she's going on a date at this bar, this immensely well attended bar, and she's on a date with her husband, the Jonas.
Oh, that's the gimmick. See, I didn't know what the Jonas guy looked like.
There we go. And he's a big beefcake, and she's obviously not like the other girls, so she's not into that. And she kicks him out when he's just trying to get laid.
Also, in this world, Nick Jonas is not a celebrity.
Yeah,
He's just
Celine
a person.
Dion is.
Yeah, Celine Dion is the only
Oh
celebrity.
my God. Yeah.
He's not Nick Jonas, by the way. He's like Noah or something. But
Yeah, a personal trainer.
Yeah. But he doesn't exist. Nick Jonas does not exist. But Celine Dion is there in Heaven Hotel.
Drake also exists.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
Drake
it's
also
true.
exists. You're right. You're not wrong. Who else exists?
Michael Jordan.
Jordan exists.
Basketball exists.
It's just a world where the Jonas Brothers do not exist.
Okay, yeah. Let's get to the point.
They exist, but they're like different people.
This movie cost $9 million to make?
Yeah, $9 million to make.
How?
Licensing.
This
for
is
music.
Celine
Celine
Dion.
Dion,
Yeah,
yeah.
licensing. There you go.
Yeah, but well, she's an executive producer.
Probably wants
I was
money for it still, bro.
somewhat under the impression that it was like kind of a
Oh, executive producer. That you get the title in exchange for giving something, but she's still gonna get a rate, for all of her involvement.
yeah. I would just think it's like, hey, I'll put my neck out for this, but I want money on the back.
Probably, she might have got executive producer for promoting it. It's arbitrary.
I mean, I would
You
think
can
they
say
would
that.
promote her. I don't know what the vehicle is. Yeah, they and yeah, it's a smooth romantic comedy. I don't know. I was again like obviously from my perspective, this isn't like a great movie or anything, but like it's just so odd. There's a level of oddness that is present in this that you don't see in an average romantic comedy. Unintentional, of course.
Thank goodness.
But just a sort of like it's a little bit surreal. It's also kind of competent, like it moves along. I mean, you could say it's, reliant on all these tropes and everything, but it's like their characters are kind of fun. There's a reason why all these things are tropes. It's because they work. Kind of goes forward, has a momentum to it. I don't know. I'm not mad at this movie, but it's obviously incredibly silly. I can't kayfabe that hard.
We tease the audience. Talk about the basketball scene.
Okay, yeah. So they're in a New York City public basketball court with a giant maple leaf on the background.
So she just came back from her meeting with Celine Dion,
Right.
who wants her to design a tour poster because she is a children's book illustrator. She
Slash
writes
writer?
stories about a caterpillar.
Celine
And
Dion
so
loves this caterpillar.
Got three children. She got 3 children.
And her new boyfriend, critic boy, was like, hey, I got someone for you to draw a poster. And Celine Dion is like, yes. So she meets with Priyanka, and then she's like, I can't believe I just got this job. It's so crazy. Here's some champagne in a can, and here's a basketball I've been carrying in my bag that I took to my meeting with Celine Dion.
And I love to ball, but I dribble up to my shoulders. I understand she probably doesn't play basketball in real life, but I don't know.
And it's just a desolate court, just empty,
Yeah,
barren
in New
court
York
in New York
City.
City.
2 people.
Okay.
The other side, yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry, they get around to shooting 3 baskets and then just start macking hardcore, like full on, like.
Were you guys dying in the theater?
Oh, yeah, we're just
of
like-
course you were.
I
Fuck
said
yeah.
something to could I get next?
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, there's just some guy off screen. I got next.
Yeah.
I got next. I think,
Police.
bro.
Shirts versus skins. You guys down?
So it just goes in the hard elbow towards their head while they fucking making out. Yeah, and in the again completely empty park in New York City where they're walking through in the dead of night, unperturbed, save for a lone accordion player.
Oh, yeah. They're like in Central Park or something.
Supposed to be Central Park.
Central Park, like
Empty.
1 a.m.
Yeah.
Why is there an accordion player there at all? There's no one there. There's street performers. Anyways, and so of course we're just like, okay, now someone just comes up in the back and just starts stabbing.
Start stabbing the accordion player.
Bing
right?
bong, fuck your life. Then you see this guy
Oh my
just
God.
bleeding out.
Okay, I got it. We were talking about mashups, right? I want this universe to cross over into the Beau is Afraid first hour.
Right.
Oh my God, let's
And
go.
just wreck these poor innocent people who are used to they spend the whole night in the park
Yeah. Just
Yes.
talking.
chatting on us, which is supposed to be sweet and everything. We're like, okay, there was no one at 1 a.m. Like, fine.
There's
Just
there's no joggers at 6.
suspension of disbelief. The sun's rising up. It's the morning. There's still no one in this park.
And they were safe the whole time.
Of
Yeah.
course.
No fear of getting
No.
mugged.
Safe and warm enough to be exposed to the elements.
Well, it's because the music never stopped.
This is a weird movie. It's
I like
a
it a
very
lot.
strange film.
The fact that the accordion guy is there, like in the middle of the night, it adds to the surreal vibe of this. It's really weird because it's like, yeah, it's a typical movie, but it's a little weird.
Yeah, you want to talk David Lynch? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Artistic, take a look at some real surrealism here.
I love that take.
One of my
That is an
favorite-
amazing fucking take. David Lynch, watch this shit. Learn something.
learn something about how to make an unreal world.
Yeah, and the fact that it's like an accordion player is weird. And then one of my favorite parts of the movie is when Dylan said, he's
Wait,
like,
what did I say?
wait, are they in heaven?
Oh,
It's because
my
I was
God.
gonna. All right, I was gonna ask you. I have two favorite scenes. I was gonna ask everyone what's your favorite scene. That is one of my favorite scenes because Celine Dion is in front of a window and like a white light's behind her.
Oh, my God. You're right.
And like the whole room is white, and she's very white.
Yeah, like the light is just dawning on her, and like from the back, and then her face is well shot too, like well lit.
Yeah.
Like, are they in heaven? Because like they cut back to the guy talking to her, and he's like in normal world looking like setting, and she's the only one that's like bright.
All white on white, everything. It's total like red pill or blue pill, Neo. Which will you take? Like it's like when he goes to talk to the little people in the Matrix world. They're in like little cubby holes of unreality. It's like, but why is it Celine Dion? Like who's just really Celine Dion and who's actually invested in their lives like
Yeah,
this?
it almost feels like, is he dreaming?
But then the fucking ex-boyfriend shows up and an animated butterfly starts flying
that's
around,
right.
and he tells her it's okay, don't talk to me, I'm a dead guy, and then he disappears.
Yeah, she's texting with him again,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Just let me go. I died. Go be happy."
Yeah.
Do your own thing. Yeah, he leaves.
He's got one outfit the entire time. He's just wearing a Uniqlo mannequin, like head to toe.
Yeah.
It's Beetlejuice rule.
Oh yes,
Yeah, you
Beetlejuice
wear what
rules.
you die in.
Yeah.
There we go. Fair enough.
So I'm hoping you guys are thinking of your favorite scenes. I'll go first. My favorite scene, other than the boyfriend getting killed immediately, was when they show her getting the bag of Skittles, and then later on, I think it's when she's having the conversation with the dead boyfriend, she opens up the notebook of the drawing of the boyfriend before he died, and the bag is emptied, which made me believe she just ate the rest of the Skittles.
Oh my
Like while the
God.
police are like talking to her.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, she has to tell. She's just continuously eating.
Because
She's stress eating.
as you see her get bag of Skittles, open bag of Skittles, pop one. Boyfriend gets hit by a car in broad daylight right in front of her outside of the coffee shop window. What happened between there and future her where there are no Skittles in the bag anymore? It's a very valid question.
I just love to think she ate it.
That's so messed up.
Oh fuck that! Just popping
God, I
them down.
can't believe that.
She runs to the body, like still like chewing on some, like oh shit.
I saved you the blue ones. Come back. I saved you.
I guess. All right, Dylan. I'm gonna go with. This is like an overall comment, but then I'll zoom in on specifically what inspired it. The set design in this, like you said, like you can't tell if it's heaven or New York or what the fuck is going on. So this guy is like a music critic for the New York Chronicle,
sure.
right? Looks like he's living in Midtown, which is very high rent, and he's living in a very custom apartment, and there's just one wall. This isn't explained. It's just all speakers.
Yeah.
Random, different kinds of speakers. Like some are for stereos, some are for like, guitar amps and cabinets and such. And it's never explained, but it's really fucking prominent. And so there's just a lot of stuff in the movie where you're kind of like, I don't know why that's there. And you're right. It creates that otherworldly feeling where you're like, are we in reality? Or are we in...
Liminal spaces. Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's your favorite scene?
That's my favorite scene is when he's just walking by a wall of speakers in his apartment that's like doesn't correlate with what a music critic at the New York Chronicle would be making.
Yeah, it reminds me of Terry Gilliam.
Oh, yeah.
That speaker wall.
Right.
My favorite scenes
Okay.
are the ones where he's wearing these obnoxiously bright red headphones.
Oh,
Sony-
yes. Go the fuck off. This is a crucial part of the film that
Yeah,
you non-cinephiles have been missing.
It's like, why does he always have these on? It's so annoying. Like, why does he have them on at work and stuff? And then you realize that they say Sony on the side. This is a Sony picture made by Sony using Sony equipment, and Sony is involved.
They let you know a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of Sony, but it's very funny because then just the entire time you're seeing a Sony ad because this guy is wearing headphones like a lot of the time that he's on screen.
I'll give you 0 guesses on what label Celine Dion's on. I just looked it up.
All right, so I obviously the giant that is just unbeatable is, the guy getting killed in the middle of broad daylight by a car.
Yeah, of course.
You can't top that. I'll give you a PG answer and a lewd one. I already said my PG one, which is him holding the basketball. But the lewd one is her sister acting like the sister in like a Pornhub like video of like a naughty sister, like pigtails and like pajamas and like being all bratty. Like, this is a grown ass woman.
She's
like,
playing Tomb Raider.
You're the John.
oh yes, okay, there we go.
She's playing what?
Tomb Raider.
Oh
yeah, and just like playing video games the way like if I was on like in a play or something, it was like, act like you're playing video games. Clickety clack clack clack. Go, come on, no, shoot. And then like, ew, you're my brother. I can't do that. Like, that's like the next scene I expect to see in this, in the way she's acting. This is a great movie. The more I talk about it, the more I like it.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Love Again. Will your heart go on? Or are you just too cold to the beautiful voice of Celine Dion? Are you pushing mute? Or are you opening your heart? I'm not gonna joke around too much here. Like, oh, you got to see this movie. It's it's not The Room, Dylan. That's your favorite film.
My favorite film.
I know it's not that level of corny. Like, I don't want to make this up to be like it's something totally ridiculous. It is like, watch it streaming with some friends and bust balls on it, because it's very amusing in that regard. And again, credit where credit's due. Like, perfectly fine acting all around for what they're working with is of an insane script. It's just a movie that doesn't need to exist. I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it, but it is obviously very silly and very TV movie. But yeah, I'm going to say my heart will go on for sure.
My heart will go on and on and on. I liked this movie. Like, not even jokingly. I enjoyed it. It was funny. It was a funny experience.
Right.
And I know it's a romantic comedy, but I was like, was it funny? Was it joke funny, or was it just funny because it's weird?
I mean, it's the actual jokes, like if you were being unironic and taking what was on paper, is like
the comedy.
Her dialogue is like quirky girl dialogue. So if you think it's funny to be like, would you rather have 30 cats or a parrot on your head for 22 hours? Like, if that's funny to you, then yes, it's very funny.
Yeah, it's
but
not very
You're not in the demographic
funny
for the jokes. I happened to be sitting with the people that were, and they were dying the entire time.
But the unintentional humor is a fucking...
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
not real shit.
Watch this movie. You don't even need friends with it, because you can see
What?
for yourself how surreal it is. It's just like a universe, slightly left of ours or something. It's kind of neat. And like I said, it's very like digestible. I realize that it reminds me of like a CW show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it could be a show, like a workplace thing. The guy has like his coworkers that are kind of, they're not that funny either, but like they have that acting style and that kind of humor. So I could easily see it like if you like Supergirl or something like that. It kind of has that vibe to it. But I thought it was fun, and it's it's competent. I like it.
This one's not for me. If you're one of our many Wine Mom listeners, this is your must-see destination movie of the season. Get out there as soon as you can, and bring your girlfriends, and you're gonna have a fantastic time.
My heart will go on. I will learn to love again. And if you ever wanted to see like a depiction of New York from someone who seems like they've never been to New York
or never seen it portrayed anywhere, like unsullied eyes, not poisoned by the unfortunate realities of New York, nor any prior
they never
portrayal
go
of
to
New York.
like Manhattan, like that one big ass spot, Times Square.
Oh, there's a lot of like drone shots of like New Yorky stuff,
But
and
it's
then
not
it's
New
like
York, you can tell.
and it's like cut to inside a building.
Yeah. If you ever wanted to see that depiction, those are pretty cool. If you wanted to see Celine Dion's feet
Oh, timestamp.
Yeah, timestamp. It happens when you think she's in heaven, and then
You'll think you're in heaven.
Yeah, no, it's fucking weird because she's just barefoot hanging out with the guy. And the
Oh yeah,
guy's
the
like,
camera's like on the ground.
yeah, so it's fucking awkward. Like I was just like, what the fuck?
Yes.
Yeah, and I will also. They announced the Celine Dion tour,
Right.
and I'm gonna go to it.
Of course. How could you not?
After that, apparently there's no one at these fucking shows from the fucking arena they showed. So like,
Tickets are going to be easy to get.
High ticket alert.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for sure.
I loved you in Love Again.
I'm gonna have the sign.
Thank you to all of my fans who just found out about my music through Love Again.
Dress up like the guy. See if she notices.
Oh my God, it's you, the guy
you have
from my movie.
You have the giant flannel.
Yeah.
And then a red Sony headphones. What's up? It's you,
That
John.
would be so great if you like look out at the crowd and it's just a bunch of red headphones on people's
That's
necks.
how Celine Dion heads identify
Yeah.
themselves.
I do want that. I heart Celine shirt so fucking
Yeah,
bad.
that they show in the post credits where they show the actors lip syncing the Celine Dion song that she sings during the credits.
Yeah.
Shout out to the editor too, who believed that the text messages were Celine Dion lyrics.
Oh, hey, listen. No, you forgot a crucial point, which is that at the end, because the guy he publishes, an article that makes the girl fall back in love with him, right? Now that we've already done talking about the movie, I just need to put that in there. And then this is his gateway into his final boss, his goal professionally to start a podcast.
Yep.
I thought, like, you could just do that. Obviously, I mean, look,
Too much
you
work.
don't really need permission.
He probably has to edit it alone.
You got all that money for all those speakers. Like, dog, you could get a Rode microphone and
Yeah.
a mixer. This isn't that hard. Anyways, thought that, yeah, the post credit scene where they're like, I'm putting together a team is him on the podcast with Celine Dion. So hopefully the beginning of the Selena-verse is off to a great start.
No, I kept calling him Selena too. Calling her Selena on accident.
Big George Foreman, the miraculous story of the once and future heavyweight champ. This was a biopic on the titular George Foreman. Shows his upbringing into joining the Job Corps, where he learns boxing and how he became a quickly heavyweight champ. He was in the Olympics in 1968 and, became kind of king of the world. Got somewhat humbled, I guess you could say, by Muhammad Ali, retires from the boxing world, and has somewhat of a spiritual awakening after his next fight. Goes into the world of preaching, starts a youth center, falls under financial hardship because all of his money was kind of mismanaged. Left with no other choice but to get back in the ring and become a champion again at being a middle-aged man. And this is his tale. It's directed by George Tillman Jr. You got Chris Davis playing George Foreman, Sullivan Jones playing Muhammad Ali. You got some star power here, baby. We got Forrest Whitaker, and we got Sonia Sohn, who is I know her as from The Wire. And this is a very competent biopic. I found myself liking this more than I thought I would, if anything, because I really generally don't like biopics or care about sports very much. But and definitely did not know a lot about George Foreman. But I got to say, I now know enough about his life to summarize the plot of the movie, at least. Also, and not to pile on the last movie, kind of a made-for-TV movie feel, some star power, if you will. I guess it feels somewhat expensive, but not really cinematic, like I'm saying. But I don't know. I was fine for this one.
$32 million to make
Jesus.
this thing.
Not enough.
That's a lot of money to spend. I mean, hey, listen, here's what probably my most positive thing I can say about this movie is this one had very smart syncs. The music that they used was really good. It goes through the different eras and kind of puts you in the eras. They're clever choices. They're not totally played out songs. Like, it's really weird to see this in Guardians and be like, man, the George Foreman soundtrack is actually pretty great. They kind of figured it out on that one. And he does a good job. The old Chris Davis, like he plays him young, plays him old, plays him ripped, plays him big. Man, That's not easy, right?
I
I think the movie touches on this because me, a complete layman, knows nothing about no kind of boxing, right? I'm like, oh, George Foreman's like the smiling advertising guy. He's the grill guy, he's like he's like the mainstream person. And then like Muhammad Ali is like the badass, right? And they kind of show in the movie, like, now Muhammad Ali was just really good at like manipulating the media and like kind of like telling his story his way and kind of talking shit on George Foreman when they were fighting. Yeah. But it's like, I mean, what I do know about is the 5th Ward of Houston, Texas. That's like a hard place to come from, and like for him to have come from that, it's like, oh no, he can't be like a super cookie cutter clean guy if he kind of survived that. And I don't know, it was enlightening in that regard for me, at least.
Did they get into his family life and how he named every one of his children George?
Yeah.
Towards the end, really, but yeah.
Yeah, because there's stuff with his, I kind of glossed over, like he has a first wife who he leaves because, the money gets to him, and then he finds a second wife through his religious practice who has the worst accent I've ever heard in a movie.
Yeah.
Very uneven. But yeah, I think with her, she has the 6 kids who are all called George. Why does he do it again? He says it in the movie. It's pretty funny.
So that they're all equal. If one of them does something bad, they all get in trouble.
There you
if
go.
one of them does something great, they all get, I don't know, props.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a collectivist idea with the name. And I guess a lot of that advertising and like, smiling and holding up various home appliances is like, at least what they say in the movie, like he's trying to keep the youth center open that he started, and, he just didn't manage his money right. So it's
he told his friend to manage his money, and then his friend
messed it up.
Yeah, he messed it up.
Right. Yeah, and it is kind of crazy. Like you retire from boxing of all things, and you come back to it as a middle-aged man, and he beats Evander Holyfield? ? Was that it?
Yeah.
Like nuts. That's a crazy story. So like, yeah, maybe that does merit a movie if just for way of like bringing some light to that. You can listen. You like montages? You a fan of montages? Let me tell you what this movie's got. Got montages. Guy carries a cow around.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, they show the actual photo of him carrying the cow
really did that.
to show you that he lugs the cow around in real life. That wasn't just creative license.
Yeah, that was really cool. Like, I didn't know anything about him either, except about the grill, or except that there is a grill. And this is super informative, but also it's just like, this is a person's actual life. It seems like you would write this story and be like, okay.
That's a little too, come on. He's a preacher now. Come on.
Oh, he's like super fat. He's going to slim down for this. He's not going to slim down.
Right.
Yeah.
And he cuts, he has to cut some weight, obviously,
Yeah,
but
for
like,
sure.
He's still rotund, yeah.
Yeah, and the cutting the weight, that's a montage too. Everyone else gets to eat good food. He can't.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
But it's a crazy story. And so it makes for a good movie, but it's almost so crazy that you don't believe that it's real while you're watching it as a movie. But it's very impressive. His life is very impressive. I really like the part where he's like, I'm going to go to the Olympics. And he's like, okay, like in 4 or 5 years, you can go to the Olympics. Sure, we'll train. And he's like, no, I'm going this next one. He's like, it's a year away. There's no way, no how you're going to get to the Olympics. Cut to him at the Olympics fighting. Very cool.
Speaking of crazy story, are you guys familiar with the stolen valor surrounding the George Foreman grill? You guys all know Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan is a notorious liar. Like,
yeah.
And like of epic proportions. And he multiple times, if you interview him right now and ask him about the George Foreman grill, he go, yeah, brother, they offered that to me, but I turned it down. That's how George was able to get it. He was second choice at best, whatever. And so since I didn't see the movie, I looked up a bunch of Hulk Hogan lies, and I wanted to relate them to the podcast since we watch movies. He claims that Darren Aronofsky offered him the lead role in The Wrestler 3 times, and Hogan again claims that he just turned them down. Aronofsky categorically denies that Hogan was ever even considered for the role. He claimed at some non-specified point that he was offered to play bass in Metallica. Metallica also refutes this claim and cites that they've never met Hogan.
Okay, that's a mess up on their part, but keep going.
He partied with John Belushi after WrestleMania 2 in 1986. John Belushi died in 1982.
He just meant John Belushi. You guys are.
Here's one for you. In his autobiography, he made the claim that Elvis was a huge Hulk Hogan fan. The problem here is that Elvis died in 1977, and in 1977, Hulk Hogan was regionally wrestling in Florida, called the Super Destroyer, and wore a mask the entire time.
Well, I mean.
And then I got one more for you. He claims that back in the heyday, he wrestled 400 days in 1 year. This obviously makes no sense, but Hogan knows better than we do. He said that he would travel from the United States to Japan and back, and due to the time difference, would wrestle on multiple times per day.
Why not just say you did 400 matches?
Right? I don't
know. Well, yeah, so George Foreman didn't live as fantastic a life as Hulk Hogan, as we're finding out, but it was still pretty spectacular. Dylan, you're the fight head here. What do you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Like I really thought the guy doing Muhammad Ali was really good.
Yeah, he was. I guess Muhammad Ali is just a fun personality. So like the actor making it just fun and witty and just getting the best lines in the movie, right?
Yeah,
was like a smart choice.
I thought who played George Foreman?
Chris Davis.
Chris Davis, I thought was also great in this film. Excellent job. I didn't know where he really was raised, like in Texas.
Yeah, Fifth Ward. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that about him. Honestly, that's the parts I didn't know. I didn't know he only did a year before he got into the fucking Olympics and won. I was like, Jesus Christ, like that's so fucking sick. Beats this big ass Russian dude.
Yeah.
Do you think he really punched punching bag off the ceiling?
As I said, there's a lot of very made for TV moments,
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't hooked very well.
Yeah, so I've
seen it happen in a gym before. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's like it's not installed properly.
Yeah, just have to uppercut it, kind of do a Hadouken on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he joins Job Corps, which is, man, do they still have Job Corps? They need to bring that shit back because some motherfuckers out here need some jobs. Anyway, so he kind of goes there to get straight because he's being a little hoodlum out there in his teenage years. And the coach there, Forrest Whitaker, is like, "Hey man, you got this rage inside you." Oh, some kid steals his mom. They spent a lot of time on his sneakers being all messed up, and his mom gives him a fresh pair of sneakers to go to the Job Corps. And someone steals the sneakers.
They're very poor.
Yes,
very poor.
Very poor, and someone steals the sneakers, so he sees a guy with the sneakers, and it's actually a pretty funny moment. He's just he's immediately spotted, doesn't try to play it off or anything, just starts bolting.
Yeah,
and George Foreman's running after him and shakes him out a window, gets the sneakers back, and Forrest Whitaker's like, "I gotta drop you off. You're getting out of here." And then he's like, "Sorry, let me control it." And then he learns how to box.
It's because he punched the door open.
Oh, that's right.
Because the guy locked himself in a room and then he just punched it open comedically, and then was dangling him around the fucking window, just taking the shoes back off.
Yeah, so Forrest Whitaker's like, "We got to teach you how to box, dude."
Yeah,
and he loses his practice fight. He's like, "I fight all the time." He goes, "Yeah, it's just different.
It's not fighting. It's boxing."
And so the guy dances around him and then beats him,
knocks him down, bro.
Yeah, and he's like, "Fuck this!" And in a rage, he punches a punching bag,
and it flies.
Right, and
everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, because he has that's the gimmick, I guess, if you want to say that. It's like he has an incredibly strong punch, but he doesn't know how to. He has the sting of the bee, but not the float of the butterfly.
Mm.
And so they got to teach him all the rules of montage time, baby. And then you see where we're going with here. It's punch movie, it's sports movie, it's biopic movie. We all know this.
When you were looking it up, does it say anything about the George Foreman grill and why they couldn't use the name?
Oh yeah, in the
other
movie,
than probably just selling it.
They don't say the George Foreman grill.
Yeah, it's probably a rights thing. I mean, it's like pop culture wise.
Yeah,
probably the biggest thing. Oh, I know. I got one more. Do your impression of the George Foreman hamburger grill.
So I don't even know where we saw this, but somewhere there's behind the scenes sort of camera rolling while George Foreman he's trying to do this infomercial about the grill, and they're like, "Okay, it's George Foreman."
It's just the George Foreman grill.
Okay, the George Foreman grill, and he's like, "Okay, all right." So they set him up, and it's like, "George Foreman hamburger," and they're like, no, it's just George Foreman grill. All right, so yeah, whoa, whatever. Okay, here we go. George Foreman, hamburger. And he just keeps saying hamburger. It is so funny.
Yeah, that's accurate
You
to
just
real
can't
life.
get it right. And every time,
Hamburger.
yeah, that's the whole deal. It's like hamburger is not even in the name.
He's
And
adding
just
hamburger.
adding hamburger
Yeah.
every time. It's great. Look it up. I don't know how.
Needless to say, George Foreman's a legend.
Yeah, so anytime you think George Foreman, hamburger is all you need to think about.
Yeah. So are we gonna give the Golden Gloves to George Foreman, or is this champ just a chump? No,
In
I'll,
the trailer a lot.
yeah. Again, as the opposite of the target demographic of this movie, I don't like biopics. I don't care for sports stuff. Like, I don't know. I was watching it. I was infotained, and I'm not going to pretend it's the most like artfully made thing ever, but yeah, it kept my attention. I'm fine with it. I say Golden Gloves all the way. Yeah, you pull up to the theater, George Foreman's playing. You're not going to be sad about it. You're going to learn a thing or two.
Yeah, it was totally fine. Totally fine movie. And yeah, I learned something. I don't know if I needed to know, but I learned it. And I think that it's kind of interesting because it is like a boxing movie, and I don't like that. Boxing, I mean. But it's not super just boxing glory shots.
Right.
It's just like boxing happens. And then it's kind of cool because they do give you like some real footage and real photos toward the end of the movie. And it's cool that they paid such close attention to detail.
Right.
It's sort of reenacting the fights and stuff. That's really neat. It's kind of impressive. They even show like he's wearing different outfits throughout the movie, and then at the end you see pictures of him really wearing those things.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. It's well done, and you can see that somebody cared making it. So
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's an interesting story.
Yeah.
I'll give it the Golden Gloves. Shout out to the scene where they show like real footage during the film. The Michael Moore fights when he's about to fight him for the championship. The real like HBO Showtime
Right.
montage.
Yeah,
and he's just watching it on TV. He's getting all pissed off. That was pretty cool. Yeah, no, I like this film. If you just like legacy
Sure.
athletes or whatever, if you're like a 50-year-old man, I'm sure you love it. I'm sure if you're like a 15-year-old that likes boxing, you'd like it. I'm sure.
Anything in between, sorry.
Yeah, nothing in between. I'm really sorry. That's nothing for you. No, yeah, no, it's just it's a cool story. You'll learn. You'll learn to learn.
You'll learn to learn. Learn to learn again.
Speaking of learning, Brent, you got a game for us?
I do. Well, in the spirit of the remake of the great SMS for Dish that we watched this week,
Yes.
I have a custom game that we're going to play that will involve all of the Movie Masters phones and SMS. So I'm going to need everybody to grab their phone. And if you are a longtime listener of the podcast, one of the things you might hear us talk about is this poster that appears on our local movie theater for a movie called Blue Beetle. And we are often asking ourselves, is this going to come out? So the name of this game is, Did This Come Out? We're going to start in the year 1973, and we're going to work our way to 1990, where I am going to text all of the players a movie poster. And then I'm going to give a little bit of information about that movie, and the players are going to determine, did this movie come out?
Right.
So, yeah, as I mentioned, I am going to send a text right now of a movie poster from 1973. This movie is called Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. It was written and directed by Paul Morrissey. In it, Baron Frankenstein creates two zombies, one male, one female, planning to mate them in order to create a master race. This film stars Udo Kier, Joe D'Alessandro, and Dalila De Lazaro. So, based on this information and based on this art, did this movie come out?
I have a stunning confession to make.
Okay.
Of course it came out. I watched this. I'm like
You've physically seen it.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
To my understanding, I feel like this is set up as a trap. If I start saying, "Oh yeah, I've seen this movie. I love it."
It could be.
Now you're making me doubt myself.
This one, like you can answer it correctly, and I could still screw you up on it. This is the only one of that nature, though.
Okay. Well, I went through a heavy Velvet Underground phase, which leads to Warhol and The Factory and Paul Morrissey's films.
Yeah, there's definitely a Andy Warhol's Dracula.
Yeah.
You've seen that, yeah.
So I think Trash Dracula and Frankenstein are the ones. So I'm going to say yes,
You say
this
yes?
came out.
Right.
Because it's like, yeah, I've seen those, but now
did
I'm
you?
doubting. But my final answer is yes, this came
Okay.
out.
Justine, did this movie come out?
I don't know. I mean, on the poster, it says in 3D,
Okay.
rated X.
Uh-huh.
So it could have come out in like an adult theater or something.
Yeah, there was adult theaters in the 70s. Dylan, did this movie come out?
I'm going to follow Colin and say yeah.
Okay. So the answer is yes. It was ultimately released as Flesh for Frankenstein. Warhol had nothing to do with this, but let Morrissey use his name for clout and funding. This one got a 5.8 on IMDb.
All the Paul Morrissey films, for the record, are Andy Warhol's, but they're not like really touched by him. The same way he like produced the Velvet Underground records, which is just to say that he let them do their thing on it. And, just to talk for the sake of talking, that's a brilliant way to go, because it's like, yes, I'm the producer, and then the funding people are like, oh, he's got him as a producer.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like, yeah, and my production is let this guy do whatever he wants. Like people give Andy Warhol grief because it's like, oh, he didn't run the silk screener that made the thing. It's like, motherfucker, let the guy rock. Like less is more sometimes. Sometimes just by way of not interfering, your presence is more known than it could ever be if you interfered.
There's a pro wrestling podcaster by the name of Brian Last, and his family worked for Warhol. Basically, they were like the fulfillment for his prints. And the minute that Warhol died, Brian's dad said, get to the warehouse, sign every print we have because we're about to sell out of all of them. So yeah, like they would sign the prints for him. So like so many of the stuff, yeah, it's kind of like Jeff Koons these days. It's just like he'll like come up with an idea and then everything's executed by third party. If you check your texts, your SMS, if you will, we go to 1979. This movie is called Meltdown. It's based on the bestseller The Prometheus Crisis by two authors, Frank M. Robinson and Thomas N. Scotia. John Carpenter was tapped to write the screenplay and direct immediately after Halloween. In fact, Carpenter describes this film as Halloween and a nuclear power plant. The question is, did this movie come out?
This feels like Crazies. But I'm feeling like I'm getting my Romeros and my Carpenters mixed up. Mm-hmm. God, this feels like Crazies. I'm going to say it was released under a different name, but definitely, you said after Halloween? Mm-hmm. Then that lets me say that no, it was not released. So I'm going to say no, it was not released. Final answer, and I'm reserving the right to not be shocked if it was released under a totally different name.
Justine, was this movie released?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Based on that, I feel like the poster's not good.
Right. I like that logic. Dylan, did this come out?
No, I would say no.
Okay. All three of you are correct. The rights battles kept this in development hell until the 90s, by which time Carpenter was out. Yeah. Very grumpy by then. Just, I don't want to do it. The very next year, in 1980, there was a movie called Cocaine. Now, this is a Fassbinder movie. It's his adaptation of Pettigreely's 1920 novel of the same name. Taking place in dizzy and decadent Paris, this film charts the comedy and tragedy of a young man's downfall and the lure of a bygone era. The book's descriptions of sex and drug use prompted church authorities around the world to place it on lists of forbidden books, and the film was also heavily protested by the church even 60 years later. For Fassbinder, this fell between 1979's The Third Generation and 1981's Lily Marlene. Colin, did this movie come out?
Oh, God. I think it did. I'm going to say it did, and I have nothing to back this up because I know I've seen some Fassbender movies. Mm-hmm. It's been a hella long time, dog.
Oh yeah,
since I've been in the real those brainy kind of waters like that, and I wouldn't have a hard time believing that some Euro stuff could get released without my familiarity. And just something in my gut says I've seen something with this title. This poster art is amazing.
It's
it looks
incredible.
Looks like Vince Locke or something. It's so cool. I love that cross hatching in the background. Great visual references for our podcast listeners.
Yeah,
listen, guys, you can't see this, but it is sick.
If you need to see it, feel free to email us or DM us on Instagram. We'll be more than happy to send that to you. Justine, did this come out? I like the deliberation.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
You say it didn't come out? Okay. Dylan, did cocaine come out in 1980?
No.
Okay, so we got 1 yes and 2 no's. It goes to the nose. Fassbender ended up too busy to make it. He fought with the producers, and then he was also very near the end of his life. He died 2 years later in 82, so there was no chance to.
What are the known Fassbender movies? Which ones have I seen?
Martha, 74? Maybe you saw
Martha? Martha sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think if you saw the
Where'd you
poster,
say that name?
maybe.
That's why it sounds familiar.
That's why.
Oh, Martha. Come on. What's the next one here?
Yeah. In your SMSs, there is a new entry from 1982. The movie is called The Last American Virgin, with a tagline of "See it or be it." This Bose Davidson written and directed teen romp boasts a soundtrack featuring Blondie, The Cars, The Commodores, Devo, Quincy Jones, Journey, The Police, REO Speedwagon, Tommy Two-Tone, and U2. Colin, did this movie come out?
Yes.
Okay. Justine, did this movie come out?
No further elaboration. What's Tommy Two-Tone's big hit?
What year is this?
This is 1982.
8675309.
That's
That's
Tommy
the
Two-Tone?
Tommy Two-Tone song. Weird, right?
I don't know. No.
Okay, we got a yes and a no. Dylan, where do you sit on this? Did this come out?
Last time I followed Colin, he was right. And I think doing this again, I know he was wrong before, but I think if I do it again, I'll be right again.
The yeses have it. IMDb users rate this a 6.3 out of 10. Okay.
The four out of the 5 top played Tommy Two-Tone songs on Spotify are 8675309.
Wait, they have different versions of them?
Yeah, just for the record.
That's incredible. All right, so we are in 1984. The movie is called The Company of Wolves. A teenage girl in a country manor falls asleep while reading a magazine and has a disturbing dream involving wolves prowling the woods below her bedroom window. This is written and directed by Neil Jordan. It stars Angela Lansbury, David Warner, and Sarah Patterson.
Angela Lansbury.
Horrible poster where it's like there's a werewolf, but instead of like turning into a wolf comes out of your mouth.
Well, this would be a post-Howling cinematic landscape.
Here's the thing. This director, he also did Interview with a Vampire and The Crying Game. Colin, it sound like you already said yes?
Yes, no further elaboration.
Got it. Justine.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
This is awful looking.
Dylan. Movie?
With how quickly Colin said yes this time, I'm going to say yes.
Yes, this is absolutely a movie. It got a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb. Next.
I've seen it, by the way. Good movie.
We leave 1984. We enter into 1985. This movie is called Spider-Man the Movie, directed by Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Tobe Hooper. Your plot is Otto Octavius is a university teacher and mentor of Peter Parker. Otto has created a machine, the cyclotron, but on accident creates Spider-Man and also deforms the scientist into Professor Octopus and results in his mad pursuit of proof of the quest for anti-gravity. Octopus reconstructs his cyclotron and causes electromagnetic abnormalities, anti-gravity effects, and bilocation, which threatens to engulf New York City and the world. This stars Scott Leva, Bob Hoskins, Lauren Bacall, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Cushing, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Johnny Depp. 98 minutes long. Released on Canon, distributed by Warner Brothers, and shot with a budget of $18 million. Colin, is this a real movie?
I wish under all that is holy in this world that it was just based on the Tobe Hooper connection.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely no way this is a real movie. However, good on them for figuring out. How did they know early on that like a horror director would be a good Spider-Man director? That's crazy. Justine, what do you think?
No.
Dylan, what about you?
I know it's not.
Okay. No. Stan Lee shut down the Tobe Hooper idea and brought in Joseph Zito, who did Invasion USA. Canon, the film company was going to make it, they shut down, and then 21st Century Film Corporation acquired the rights, and it just kept getting passed around until 1992 when it finally died. Even James Cameron was involved at one point. So,
God, that's such a cruel world that we did not get an 80s Spider-Man movie.
With Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
yeah, could you imagine?
And Johnny Depp, dude.
but he
Michelle
was like low
Pfeiffer.
in the list too. So would he be like Flash Thompson or something, like bullying Spider-Man? Peter.
You said who is the guy who were supposed to be in it?
Okay, yeah, you had Bob Hoskins, who was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Lauren Bacall, sex symbol, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Cushing, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Johnny Depp.
So is Johnny Depp supposed to be Spiderman?
No, the first guy would be
Scott Leva?
Yeah, which I don't know.
Hoskins? Wait, who was? I heard Hoskins.
Bob
first.
Hoskins probably been like maybe J. Jonah Jameson.
Well, he
or
was
something.
he would have been
Doctor.
Yeah, I
Octopus.
thought he was Dr.
Yeah.
Octopus.
Okay.
You said a name before Bob Hoskins?
Yeah, Scott Leva or
Yeah.
Scott
I
Leva.
didn't hear
I'm
that.
unfamiliar with him. Yeah, this one's crazy because like they even had it down to the minute. You know, like everything was
Yeah,
planned
yeah.
out. They had a budget for it, but yeah, they just couldn't bring it all together. Okay, 1985. This movie is called Doctor in Trouble, based on the sole premise of what would happen if a man struggling for work went to work in a brothel. This film eventually fleshed out into a relationship comedy where a man starts practicing medicine in a whorehouse, all while trying to keep his fiancée from finding out. Colin, is this a movie?
Yes, no further elaboration.
Okay. Justine, did this come out?
No.
Okay, we got a no from Justine. Dylan, did this movie come out?
If it's canon, then as much as we love canon movies here, I'm going to say no.
The correct answer is no. It was a harebrained idea from the studio, and they actually hung the poster at Cannes, and then they never made it.
Man, baffling.
I mean, because, yeah, that's why I included it, is because that poster looks so familiar to me.
Yeah, weird.
I mean, there must be something that has that same composition that we're just conflating.
And I think, you know what, if I'm guessing, it would be Dr. Detroit as the title. And then I think
He's got the meat hook?
Dan
Aykroyd, right?
Yeah.
He's holding something.
Yeah, it's something weird.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he does. He has a skewer and he's skewering meat and he's swinging on the thing. Yeah,
It's
this
so
is
weird, the shit we remember, man. Oof.
important stuff.
We're in the home stretch right now. We're going to jump to 1986. The movie is H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond. This was directed by Stuart Gordon and stars Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, and Ted Sorrell. This film tells the tale of a group of scientists that have developed the Resonator, a machine which allows whoever is within range to see beyond normal perceptible reality. But when the experiment succeeds, they are immediately attacked by terrible life forms. Colin, did it come out?
Yes, no further elaboration.
You got it. Justine, did this movie come out?
Yes.
Okay. Dylan, did this movie come out?
Yeah.
All three of you are correct. IMDb users score this also a 6.6 out of 10.
Shout out Jeffrey Combs. He's been in like 3 different Star Trek series, and he's always playing some alien.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite.
Have you seen From Beyond?
No.
I don't remember it being very good.
I'm sure he's really good in
Of
it.
course. I would have confused this you could have convinced me this was a full moon production.
Oh, yeah. Up next, we are now in 1990, our final year. This is the last movie that we're going to take a look at. It's called Demon Cop.
Fuck.
The description is as follows. A former probationary officer who is a patient at a mental asylum escapes and prowls the city, looking for victims whose blood may cure the blood disease he has that has turned him into a werewolf-type monster. This was written and directed by Rocco Carrega, who once appeared in the TV show What's Happening Now. Colin, did this movie come out?
Man, the only reason I'm saying no is because it just seems like I would have seen this because it looks amazing. And it's just the fact that it looks so good and it looks like something I would have seen that I'm going to say no.
Justine, did this movie come out?
Totally.
So that's a yes from Justine, a no from Colin. Dylan, did Demon Cop come out?
Yeah.
You are correct, sir.
Oh,
this
hell yeah,
movie
dude.
absolutely came out, didn't get good reviews, 2.2 out of 10 on IMDb overall, but this movie exists, and it sounds like Colin needs to see it ASAP.
What, was like a rare release or something, or just?
This one went straight to video, so it never got a theatrical, and yeah, it's just a 1990 drop. The information I read was all the information there was.
Man, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. So, okay. Dylan?
What?
Dylan!
Yes?
What are we watching next, dude?
Unlimited.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Regal Movie Masters Unlimited. Next week, we got another Ben Affleck banger with Hypnotic, a mystery tale. We also got Fool's Paradise featuring Charlie Day from the Horrible Bosses franchise, and honestly, it looks really funny. And last but not least, Book Club, The Next Chapter, aka Book Club 2, The Next Chapter. You know how excited I am for this. I've been waiting for this movie since Book Club 1 from 2018. Anyway, everybody, see you in the theater next week. Bye.